Welcome to the darkest corner of history and desire, the channel where truth isn't censored and taboos aren't hidden. Here, we dive into the secrets no one dares to speak aloud, stories of power, lust, betrayal, and rituals so shocking they'll leave you questioning everything you thought you knew. This is not the place for the faint of heart. This is the channel built for those who crave raw truth wrapped in controversy, for those who aren't afraid to stare into the forbidden. If you want to explore the most hidden scandals, the most disturbing traditions, and the raw realities that shaped history in ways no textbook ever told you, then you're exactly where you belong. But remember, once you step inside, there's no turning back. So smash that like button, subscribe now, and join a world where history, sex, and power collide. Imagine a kingdom where a queen's body wasn't her own, where the most sacred part of her life was stolen and displayed, not in the privacy of a bedroom, but under the watchful eyes of priests, doctors, and noblemen. This wasn't love. This wasn't marriage. This was power, domination, and humiliation disguised as tradition. Inside a cold palace chamber, the scent of burning incense mixed with fear, a trembling bride stood alone, her face hidden beneath a veil of silk. Around her, men whispered, waiting for the ritual to begin. She had been told this was sacred, that purity was the foundation of the throne. But she knew the truth. Her body was no longer her own. Her innocence would be reduced to a public performance, her dignity stripped for all to see. If she failed this test, her future would vanish in an instant. A young queen, her lips quivering, dragged before a council of stern-faced men. Her gown slips, silken fabric brushing against her bare shoulders as trembling hands try to hold it up. Torches flicker on the golden walls, but the fire in the eyes around her burns hotter. On a wooden table lies a red-sealed scroll, a declaration of her worth. This single paper would decide her fate, not her wisdom, not her courage, but the condition of her untouched body. Whispers cut the silence. Was she truly pure? Could she be trusted with the crown? The humiliation was suffocating, heavier than death itself. One by one, the priests stepped forward, their hands shaking with both piety and curiosity. The queen's veil was pulled back, revealing eyes filled with terror. The silence of the hall broke with every rustle of her gown, every gasp from the witnesses. Her body was inspected as if she were livestock, not royalty. Physicians, sworn to heal, now became instruments of judgment. Their hands and eyes searched for proof, as though dignity and honor could be measured by flesh alone. Each second felt like a lifetime, every touch a scar carved into her soul. The women who endured this were told it was for the crown, for the people, for stability. But in truth, it was nothing more than a ritual of control, men enforcing dominance through the exposure of a queen's most private self. But the ritual didn't end in the chamber. The results were carried beyond those walls. If the red-sealed scroll proclaimed purity, the queen was celebrated, paraded like a trophy. Yet beneath the jewels and smiles, she carried invisible wounds. If, however, doubt was written into that scroll, the humiliation spread like fire. Whispers turned into rumors, rumors into scandal. Some queens were sent away in disgrace, their names erased from history. Others were punished more brutally, locked in convents, banished, or even executed, as though their bodies alone had betrayed kingdoms. And the men who watched? They weren't just inspectors. They were voyeurs of power, finding thrill in stripping a woman's dignity under the guise of tradition. The queen became less of a ruler's partner and more of a spectacle, a symbol that her body, not her mind, upheld the throne. Behind closed doors, kings used these rituals as weapons. Rivals could be destroyed by questioning the purity of a queen. Political marriages shattered overnight when a woman's body was declared unworthy. Wars were even sparked because a single inspection declared a queen impure. It wasn't truth that mattered, it was perception. A single accusation could topple alliances, destroy dynasties, and rewrite history. In some cases, these rituals were staged deliberately. A rival court might bribe a physician or priest to declare a woman impure, knowing it would shame the king and weaken his throne. These weren't just humiliations. They were calculated acts of political sabotage, with a queen's body as the battlefield. Now imagine being that queen. standing half-exposed, trembling under the gaze of dozens of men, waiting for a verdict on your very existence. Imagine the cold touch of hands searching for proof, the heavy silence of judgment hanging in the air, and then the sound of wax melting, a red seal pressed onto parchment. In that moment, your life could be secured or destroyed. No battle, no army, no sword ever held such terrifying power as that single act of humiliation. History celebrates crowns, wars, and victories. But behind every gilded throne lies a darker truth, the untold suffering of women forced into rituals of shame. They were not just queens or brides. They were victims of a system that turned their bodies into political weapons, their purity into currency, and their humiliation into tradition. The question that lingers: how much of this history was hidden, and how much of it still echoes in the way we view women's bodies today?